tuned, busy night because on top of the basketball, it is a National Signing Day today. It's very odd for us here at Sports Talk. For 40 some odd years, we've covered National Signing Day in February, and it's been a big day. It's been a very active day. But to my recollection, this is like the first February where you didn't have to get out of bed early. You didn't have to chase players to the dotted line. Coaches weren't sweating out announcements. There was no reason to turn on any of the ESPN channels. There was really not much of a reason to check the recruiting networks because there wasn't a whole lot going on. A couple of players here or there. As far as the two big schools in state, nada. So they got their work done back in December for the most part. And then South Carolina, of course, added to their class with a bunch of transfers out of the transfer portal, John. But other schools in the state signing players today. Will go over those signees in our second half hour. 7:05, Coach John Combs joins us. More basketball, hooping and hollering here on Sports Talk. And high school regular season winding down. Region championships and playoff spots are being claimed. And we'll talk with him about all of that and look ahead to the playoffs. And then 7:35, Major Billy Downer made it back from Las Vegas. Good move. He got out of town before the Super Bowl horde moved in. He was out there for a very interesting event that he'll share with us coming up at 7:35. SC Wild here on Sports Talk from the Department of Natural Resources. So stay tuned for that. 7:35. We'll throw in some recruiting as well. So we are jammed up. Let's welcome in Matt Smith. He'll be with us here for a couple of minutes. I thought it'd be great to have Smitty on with us to recap what he witnessed last night. He becomes the second member of the Sports Talk team to cover a Clemson win in Chapel Hill. The first was Justin Mathis, who worked for us that night in 2020 and went to Chapel Hill because we were down in Louisiana covering the football team. He went to Chapel Hill, and he got the luxury of being number one. You're Avis. You're number two, Smitty.
Well, I'll take it. It was historic, although I want to be clear about this. No one around Clemson talked about the history, really. I mean, Tim Beret tweeted about it, obviously, because that's what he does. But Brad Brownell said, no, we're just, at this point, I don't have to answer that question anymore. And he said he used to get asked about winning in Chapel Hill in the summer. And he said, I'm not talking about reporters, there's people, just Clemson fans, just ask me, when are you going to beat North Carolina at Chapel Hill? And they would ask me before the season began. But now he doesn't have to worry about that. It's just about basketball. Clemson has won 2 out of the last 3 up there. They are human when it comes to the Tigers. And, Corn, one thing I took away from that game last night, and it was in my game story, you can see at SportsTalkSC.com, it wasn't as if Clemson bobbed and weaved and kind of won a judge's decision. They won the game outright. It was 80-76, but there was a last-second bucket there at the buzzer, which was completely meaningless. Clemson was in control. North Carolina fans were filing out with 2 minutes left on the clock. How many times does the Dean Dome start to clear out before there's triple zeros? So Clemson just flat out won the game. And Armando Bacot is an outstanding player, all ACC, all the accolades that he receives, they're well deserved. However, PJ Hall was every bit as good, if not better, last night. And RJ Davis was great in spurts, but he certainly was no more effective or efficient than Clemson's backcourt duo of Chase Hunter and especially Joseph Girard, who scored 21 points and hit 5 3-pointers. So Clemson just flat out won the game. If you wouldn't have known the jersey colors, if you'd have just watched 2 squads play, you'd have thought, well, Clemson right there is every bit as talented, every bit as good as North Carolina. Now, North Carolina fans will say they had an off night. Mm-hmm. But you know what I will say, as I was watching, everything Brad Brownell dialed up defensively worked. Clemson was hassling North Carolina. They couldn't get into their offense. They were squeezing the passing lanes. And I just thought, I came away thinking, and I didn't want to say it too loudly because I was in enemy territory, but I thought Clemson flat out won the game, deserved to win. No funky fouls, no officials' help, no fluky shots. Clemson just flat out went toe-to-toe with North Carolina and beat them on their home track.
Deserved every moment of it. And you mentioned Baycott. He'll go down in history as things stand now. He'll go down in history as the one Tar Heel to lose twice at home to Clemson. He played in that game back in 2020. I guess he was a freshman. He had 21 points in that game back in 2020. He was big last night. He had a double-double, 24 points and, 13 rebounds. He was really big. But P.J. Hall was big. Shefflin was big. And they got the outside shooting from Girard, the consistent outside shooting. Tell you what, when they got Hall and Girard clicking together, Clemson can win any game because then you got inside-outside presence, and Shefflin's going to get your rebounds. They got nice contributions from Wiggins and Hunter and Clark played a role for him. It was a complete team victory for the Tigers. We're going to hear from Coach Brad Brownell here in just a moment and his post-game thoughts. And I'm sure it was a stunned North Carolina crowd because they were coming off the huge win over Duke, so they were riding high. People might say, well, North Carolina typically has a letdown. No, they don't after they play Duke. Historically, they've come back and played well that next game. That was talked about in the broadcast last night. Historically, they've come back the next day. The next game hasn't always been a major letdown. So you were catching North Carolina at a high time for them, and you were coming off kind of a low. Clemson was with that loss at home to Virginia. They had to ratchet it up, and they did just that, Smitty.
They did, and you mentioned, when you have Girard going from the outside. Look, I know you could say this about any team. This is not QB Brown level analysis I'm going to give you, but I think it's especially vital for Clemson. They have to make threes, and truthfully, a lot of pressure falls to Girard. He's one of the all-time best shooters in terms of volume and makes in ACC history between his career at Syracuse and Clemson. And I don't want to lay it all at his feet, but he has to stretch the defense and open up opportunities for Wiggins or Clark or Hunter to slash and P.J. Hall to post up and for Ian Shefflin to rebound off the weak side. That's Girard's role. He has to do it. When he's not doing it, Clemson is vulnerable, as we've seen. They can lose to middling to lower tier ACC teams when they're not hitting shots from the outside. But I will just say, as you said, if you've got it going on inside, outside, Clemson can beat anybody. That's because the three-point shot usually is a great equalizer. We all know that. That's why an Ivy League team can upset a Big Ten team in the NCAA tournament or get it close. But I think it's especially true of Clemson because they have a front court now. Shefflin is playing with great confidence. As a matter of fact, I want to say this quickly. Shefflin didn't just get garbage points last night. That's what I said in the broadcast leading into the game. They were running plays for him. Hall was on the bench for about 7.5 minutes of game time in the second half, and Shefflin was just straight up, posting up, calling for the ball, and then going down low and scoring or drawing fouls or drawing attention to himself and clearing open looks for his teammates. So Shefflin has really developed here into a force, especially when he has a matchup that he and Brownell feel confident in. But Shefflin and Hall playing together in the front court, they're good friends off the court, and they have that sixth sense about each other. They move, Hall now can move without the ball when Shefflin posts up. Shefflin can work for a position when Hall has it. Sometimes he'll turn and square up his man and just drive. I was very impressed. And look, it's what we thought Clemson was going to be, right? I'm not saying that everybody thought Clemson was going to go pull that upset. They were 6.5, 7-point underdogs last night. But I think at the beginning of the year, when we looked at it on paper, if you and me and Chris Bergen and any guests that we brought on would have analyzed Clemson, we'd have thought, wow, Hall, P.J. Hall's senior year, veteran backcourt now, Girard, a shooter, the athletes they have on the outside. I think all of us would have thought this Clemson team should win 20 games and go to the NCAA tournament. And now with this victory under their belt, the win over Alabama and the win over South Carolina, I think they finally look like the team that you and me and others thought they would be.
And now the key for them is to go on the road to Syracuse Saturday and build on what they did. Here is some of what Brad Brownell said last night to the media just moments after that win in Chapel Hill. It's becoming old hat for the Tigers winning at the Dean Dome. Here is Brad Brownell.
Well, certainly a great win for our guys. Really happy for my players. We've had some close losses here recently, and I've said many times, I think we're playing better than our ACC record, but I think our league is good. And I don't think it's getting the credit it deserves in some ways. And, we haven't finished some games, and today we were able to do that. Obviously, the great start, probably as good a half as we've played all year was the first half. And then we just held on. The crowd was great. They got some life and came back at us, certainly, but our guys finished, which was really nice to see. So really happy for my players. We've been working really hard, and they've stayed connected and stayed positive through some of the adversity. And we got a lot of great kids in there. So I'm hopeful that, you keep working, good things happen to good people. So today was that day. Questions for me?
Brad, what did you think about the guys' composure? And you were just talking about they hung on, but
Yeah.
kind of when you were in huddles in these moments.
Good. No, we've been good most of the year. Sometimes we've made some poor plays. Sometimes we've had some tough breaks. We've had a shot or two go in against us in the waning seconds, and we've had a couple chances to win one. Obviously, against Virginia, we had the ball in the back of the rim. You're 2 inches shorter, and we win. And so the outlook is completely different. And that's one of the things I told our players is try to encourage them that we're playing better than our record. If we can just build some momentum, that we've proven that, one at Alabama, who's winning the SEC, we just knocked off Carolina. We played Duke to the last second on other people's court. So I think, that takes composure. It takes good basketball play. And we certainly aren't playing perfect. It didn't tonight, but we played very well for most of this game.
But it felt like in the first half, you guys had a really good control on the game. And then Carolina came out with a very up-tempo style in the second half. I felt like they got into a rhythm they wanted to be in. What did you do from your defense that impressed you to help keep the game under control?
Well, we mixed in some zone, and I thought it helped us at times, and at other times it wasn't as effective as we would have liked. I thought we competed, and I thought our offense helped our defense. We only had 5 turnovers. We turned the ball over and take a lot of bad shots, and Carolina's going to get out and run against you. I thought we had a good mix to our offense. Certainly, we had a lot of threes early. But I thought we were cutting and moving, and the ball was moving extremely well. Thought we got tired at times. And then North Carolina, came after us, which they're going to do. And this environment is hard to play in. The crowd was into it really because we jumped on them. The crowd's like, wait a minute, we better help tonight. And they did. And so we had to withstand all of that. And, we're very fortunate to get the win. North Carolina's playing unbelievably well. Hubert's done a great job. So this was a terrific win for us.
How important was your work on the offensive glass, especially against that team, the way they rebounded? Yeah,
no, it was important, and that's what Ian Shefflin does. PJ does a good job of it. One thing we do is we always have somebody under the basket, almost all the time. Not all the time, but a majority of the time. And other times we have guys coming to the basket. So, it's a little more of an emphasis with our team, even more this year than last. And obviously it helped us for extra possessions, free throws, getting fouled. I was proud of the way our guys played at the end. I thought we were pretty aggressive. We got downhill on some plays, got some fouls, got some offensive rebounds. We didn't just settle.
Coach, how proud were you of PJ, and how crucial was it for him not to pick up that 4th foul in those last 12 minutes?
Yeah, it big. I was really upset with him on his 3rd foul because I thought it was one of those one-on-one blockouts that he didn't win. And obviously he's a load. He's a tremendous player. But he's got to try to win that for us to win these games. And so obviously we talked about it when he was sitting down and coming over. And, PJ's an unbelievable kid. He's a terrific player, but he's a better person and kid, and he wants to win so bad. And I think that's part of why he's not shooting the ball well, is he's putting so much pressure on himself to help carry this team that, I've tried to just tell him to relax and enjoy this. And today he played much freer. And once he saw the first one go in, he was outstanding.
All right, Brad Brownell following the win last night in Chapel Hill. So the Tigers pick up a huge win for them on the road. They moved up a little bit in the net ranking as well with that win last night. Meantime, in Columbia, South Carolina and Ole Miss And again, the Gamecocks, much like Clemson, they built a huge lead in front of a sold-out house. What an arena the Gamecocks had last night. They had to hang on as Ole Miss came back from 17 down and had a chance to win in the end, but their three-pointer went awry. Gamecocks had some big defensive plays, of course, plenty of outstanding offense, shot the ball extremely well in the first half, and really throughout the game, they shot the ball really, really well. Had to win kind of an offensive shootout because Ole Miss was shooting the ball well also. Gamecocks win at 68-65, their 20th win of the season. Here is a little bit of what Lamont Paris had to say after that win last night.
It was a good win. All of them are. So it's a hard fought win. We did some really, really, really good things. We had stretches. I'd say moments, but it kind of sounds too abbreviated to say moments. We had some stretches of doing some really good stuff, executed offensively, generated some high quality situations. I mean, some really, really good stuff. And then we had small pockets of doing some stuff that I thought was just uncharacteristic. And they made some plays. They made some jump shots. I don't want to take anything away from them. You don't accidentally trip and fall your way into 18 wins and 4 losses in this league and with what they've done. So they have a good team. But I did think we once we got up 17, I thought their run was kind of spurred on by a couple of things that were just uncharacteristic decisions that we made defensively. And then once it started going, they were making plays, they were making shots. But it was good. We grinded at the end the way that we needed to and made some plays, a couple of huge plays by Colin Murray-Boyles defensively, individual plays, and just did what we needed to secure a win. And again, those are hard to come by. So we're very happy with that.
Lamont, you mentioned some of those uncharacteristic defensive things. What were some of those after you guys went up 17?
Like one, I mean, it was unbelievable the route that we took in guarding their best shooter. It just was it wasn't the route that we would normally take. And so I think there was another one where we got screened and stayed screened. I mean, permanently screened, it seemed like, and you're allowed to get screened. Teams are going to screen you, but you're not allowed to stay screened. And we stayed permanently screened on that one, and it yielded another basket for them. A couple things just right in transition we didn't have the matchups in transition. A couple offensive things even combined in that. A couple shots that I just didn't recognize. I'm not even mad at them. I've never seen that shot by guys. And I told them afterwards in the locker room, I said, I don't know. I don't even know how to act. Should I be mad? Should I start breakdancing? I don't know what to do. I never seen that shot. But so it just was what it was. We had a couple moments like that, and they took full advantage of us doing that. And luckily we had built up enough cushion. But I don't want to detract from the fact that we during stretches in that game, we played some really, really good basketball.
I don't know if you can take a step back for a moment in a game, but when Colin goes up and blocks Sharp in that moment with 90 seconds left, what goes through your mind when he makes such a wow play like that?
What a big time play. I mean, that's a big time play. I think one, just the anticipation of the fact that that's about to happen, and the willingness to go over there and the belief to think that you can go up there and do that, and then the physical prowess to execute it and then come down with the ball. All that stuff. So, the game's going on. You're in a million places at that point with your mind and what's next and what's happening and evaluating all that. But that is a big time play, a big time play. Had another block late in the game too, but the one specifically is going to go down in the archives. He's just such a talented young man. I mean, he's incredibly talented, physically and in some other ways. But he showcased it. That's just an individual play, right? That's not in our scheme. I didn't tell him to go do that or anything that we practice that made him go do that. That's just an individual play.
Speaking of specific plays, the last play of the game, were you signaling for a foul there? And I guess if they didn't get that off, what did you kind of see from your defense there on that last kind of frantic trip down?
Yeah, we were gonna be in a mode where we were gonna switch everything aggressively in a fashion where you don't give a three. And so if you foul while that's happening, so be it, right? But we hadn't called specifically to foul, but we wanted to be very aggressive in what we were doing and play in a way where the only three that you were going to take was a three like that three, right? I mean, you can't stop someone from shooting a three, but that was, it was a difficult shot.
Coach, like you were saying, you had some uncharacteristic moments down the stretch. What is the message to your team when you're constantly bringing them in the media timeout saying, just survive the punches?
Yeah, that's probably that's probably what I was saying. Just survive the punches for the most part. Round it up. Hey, tighten it up defensively now. Come on. And we were able to a little bit. Right? They were at one point on track with 7-something left in the game to score a lot of points, and we tightened it up a little bit defensively. So I did. We were just at that point. The body of work is what it is. You got to find a way to get through the next thing, right? And just rallying guys around and getting guys' attention. There's so many things going on, and getting them ready to, and not overreacting. I didn't want to overreact because we had to do something else next. And the outcome of the game potentially could have been riding on the fact that they needed to be listening rather than thinking still about what happened, 45 seconds ago.
All right, Lamont Paris, all of Paris, all of Brownell on our website, SportsTalkSC.com. Smitty, your final thoughts about your trip up to Chapel Hill this time around?
Well, it was great. As I said, it was historic. And I think Clemson fans, I don't know how this season will go, but that's one you'll remember for a long time. And that's part of what sports is about. It's not just about where you finish, but it's about the journey. And that's a signature victory for Clemson that they'll remember it when they talk about P.J. Hall's senior season for a long, long time.
Yeah, and the question is, can the Tigers build on that, get that win Saturday, continue to win, and get themselves back in position for the NCAA tournament, depending what they do in the ACC tournament. As I mentioned, the Tigers, with their win, they actually stayed at number 37. No, hang on a second. They moved up. Now I've got my wrong tweet, but they did move up.
I think your tweet said 31, did it not?
Yep.
Your tweet said they moved 37 to 31.
Yeah, I'm looking at an old tweet that shouldn't be there. And South Carolina, with their win, they went from 39 to 41. So again, don't try to figure out the net rankings. Clemson moved up a little bit, and South Carolina dropped despite an impressive win over Ole Miss. Thank you, Smitty. Bergie will join us from Louisiana when we come back.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Clear and chilly this evening with a low temp dipping down to 29. Tomorrow, look for a blend of sunshine and clouds, the high reaching 62. For Friday, it's more clouds than sun. 65 will be our high. And as we look to the weekend, we'll get afternoon showers on Saturday with 71 the high. Sunday, on and off rain throughout the day. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Have you had a broken windshield complement to those South Carolina roads? The insurance company might try to steer you one way, to the big national guys. But remember, it's your choice. Go local. Call Absolute Glass.
We can repair your car back to factory specifications, including recalibrating all of your safety systems. We do great work and have been building long-lasting relationships for years.
That's why we've been voted Best Glass Company in Lexington for 13 straight years. Visit us online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com or call us at 951-7200. And remember, if you can see through it, we can do it.
With SRN News, Peters reporting militia officials say a U.S. drone strike has hit a car in the Iraqi capital and killed 3 members of the powerful Kataib Hezbollah militia, including a high-ranking commander. 2 officials with Iranian-backed militias in Iraq said that one of those killed Wednesday was the commander in charge of Kataib Hezbollah's operations in Syria. U.S. officials have said they suspect Kataib Hezbollah in particular of leading the drone attack that killed 3 U.S. troops in Jordan in late January. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken says a ceasefire and hostage release agreement between Israel and Hamas is still possible, despite the 2 sides being far apart on central terms for a deal. Blinken was in the region trying to broker a deal which could bring some respite in Israel's war against Hamas, which is entering its 5th month. More details at srnnews.com.
You don't normally call a plumber until you need a plumber. Well, if you need one today or if you need one tomorrow, I want you to remember Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. Listen, I might not know all the tricks to turning a wrench, but I do know how a plumbing company should work and how to treat people. My dad was a plumber. My grandfather was a plumber, and so were 3 of my uncles. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning does it right. They are the epitome of customer service. They're locally owned and operated, and Josh and his team, well, they put customer service as the top priority for Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. I've never known a business owner more intent on making it a great experience for people. And let's face it, when you have a plumbing crisis, well, that could be traumatic. They specialize in service and replacement issues for your home or for your business. They've been to my home and fixed 3 different plumbing issues I had in the house. If you need them, they're there to help. Online at franklinplumbing.sc.com or call Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning 799-2222. That's 799-2222. And tell them Kev sent you from The Point.
This is Fran Halloran. Tune into my show, The Intentional Living Power Hour, on Thursday mornings from 9 to 10 for simple and practical financial coaching on The Point, 100.7 FM, 1470 AM, Columbia's local talk radio experience.
Are you looking for free checking and free savings? Dave Ramsey here, telling you to go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank that's so big they lose the ability to treat you like a human being. At Palmetto Citizens, you're not just a number, you're a member. Join today at any of their 14 locations or at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
At Palmetto State Armory, we offer the largest selection of guns and ammunition at unbeatable prices. Our knowledgeable and friendly staff are here to provide personalized assistance, ensuring you find exactly what you need. If you enjoy outdoor activities like hunting, camping, or hiking, our clothing and outdoor gear collection has got you covered. We also feature an exceptional indoor range facility where you can experience the thrill of shooting in a safe and controlled environment. Visit us today at PalmettoStateArmory.com or your local retail store. Palmetto State Armory. American made for life.
Yo, dude, what's up? Dude, hear that? I'm like totally here at the Mellow Mushroom eating an awesome pizza in a hot tub. It's insane. Mellow has pizza and hot tubs. That's right. Spring water dough pizza with the freshest ingredients. Over 100 beers from around the world. All now available in our hot tub booths at the Mellow Mushroom in the Vista and on Sunset in Lexington. There are no hot tubs at any Mellow Mushroom, but the pizza is just as awesome in a regular booth.
Hi, this is Joel Lurie. I'm the host of Health Matters every Monday morning from 9 to 10 right here on 100.7 The Point. Join me as we talk about issues impacting your health and our community. It's Health Matters every Monday at 9 a.m. right here on The Point.
All right, lots of college basketball tonight around the SEC, the ACC, South Carolina as well. Charleston Southern at Winthrop. They're just getting underway. LSU at Tennessee, Alabama at Auburn, Louisville at Syracuse, Pittsburgh at NC State, Upstate at Longwood, Gardner-Webb at Presbyterian, Wofford at East Tennessee State, Furman at Mercer, the Citadel at Western Carolina. Notre Dame is at Duke, Texas A&M is Missouri, Georgia's at Mississippi State. And we have Coastal Carolina down in Monroe, Louisiana. That's where Chris Bergen is. Good evening, Bergie.
Hello, guys. How's everybody back home?
We're doing great. Doing great. You ready for some exciting Chanticleer basketball tonight?
I hope so. This appears, at least on paper, to be a fairly evenly matched contest between these two, both at 3 and 8 in Sunbelt play, tied for 10th. And that's the spot you want. If you're not going to be contending in the upper half of the Sunbelt, you want to make sure you're no worse than 10s going into the conference tournament, because 11, 12, 13, and 14, Sunbelt invites everybody to the postseason, would have to play the opening day. So that would mean you would play Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then perhaps on, I think it's Monday is when the championship game is. So you don't want to deal with that. If you have any hopes of possibly winning the conference tournament, you want to eliminate as many opening round games as possible. So this is actually a pretty important game in terms of seeding on down the road here in about a month when they head to Pensacola.
Thoughts on last night? I mean, you're way down there in the Bayou, which is interesting because the last time Clemson won at North Carolina, we were down. Well, you're not necessarily in the Bayou. Where is Monroe? Is Monroe in the Bayou? That's close enough, and it sounds sexy enough to say you're in the bayou. Let me just go ahead and use that to complete my thought. The previous time Clemson won in North Carolina, one of us was in the bayou, so it fits. But great night in our state for the Gamecocks and the Tigers. Your thoughts on what those two did last night?
No, it's an outstanding night for basketball. Those of us who love the game, those are the nights you live for. And saw an interesting stat today, aside from the one you tweeted out about Armando Bacot becoming the first ever North Carolina player to lose twice at home to Clemson. I thought that was actually pretty funny.
Yeah.
But also the Tar Heels are now, I think it's 37-8 after last night since 1980, coming off a win against Duke.
Yeah.
I think there's probably some legitimacy to them not being in as good a mindset coming off the Duke game. And I think Hubert Davis talked a little bit about that last night, said they did not have very good practices. He was not happy with their energy. And Clemson got a little help, surprisingly, from the ACC scheduling. That said, I don't want any of that to take away from what Clemson did. They were outstanding. One last night was such a huge game. Now they can afford probably maybe to slip up somewhere. Just don't have a really, really bad loss. But I think that takes them off the ledge of having to maybe run the table in the ACC, because I thought last night's game was so important for them, and to be able to go in there and just handle the Tar Heels and take it to them early, get that big lead, and then hold on and win, I thought was terrific for Brad Brownell and Clemson. Really, really impressed with him last night.
And I found my tweet, the correct one on the net rankings. So Clemson moves with their win. And, of course, you win at number 3, you're going to get a boost, 37-31. And the Gamecocks, this is where it's wrong. I don't understand. They beat a team with 18 wins, a team that's having a great season, and you beat them on your home court, but you drop from 39-41. Plus, one of your 3 losses was to a team that just won on the road over number 3. Trying to figure out the metrics on how you're helped by what your opponents have done, considering Clemson got a big win last night, it really kind of boggles the mind how South Carolina would drop 2 spots in that formula with a win last night.
It is really frustrating for basketball fans, and I can see why Gamecock fans are upset, because the net rankings basically tell you there's not much value in beating a team, because you should never drop. I don't care what metric you use. You should never drop when you win a game. And you're right. They got to win, and then a team that they lost to, one of their 3 losses on the road, went on the road and beat unquestionably the best team in their league. And that team goes up, the South Carolina goes down. I don't quite understand the metric whatsoever with regards to the net rankings. And the problem is the NCAA selection committee has moved away from the RPI, and they're putting so much emphasis now on the net rankings. And I think that's a bad formula as well. You ought to be able to eyeball test teams and see that South Carolina and Mississippi fairly evenly matched teams. But the Gamecocks getting a home win in conference play should not penalize them. I don't care who they beat.
Yeah.
And then also add a bit more. Joe Lunardi has not come out with a new complete bracketology today, but he has updated the rankings and kind of the conference breakdown. And this is also puzzling. So Clemson is currently 8th in the ACC, but they are the 3rd highest projected seed out of the ACC in the NCAA tournament as a 7 seed, the number 26 overall. And they are ahead of UVA, who, of course, just beat the Tigers in that close loss for the Tigers in Clemson. But UVA is a 9 seed and the number 33 overall seed. Meanwhile, in the SEC, the Gamecocks are currently 2nd in the conference, are the only 20-win team in the SEC, but they're the 5th highest projected seed in the NCAA tournament as a 6 seed, which is the same as they were in the last bracketology. Clemson moved up from an 8 to a 7. South Carolina stayed right at a 6. And then to add to also just the puzzlement, but also just to give a pat on the back to Lamont Paris and the Gamecocks, he now has wins over, I would argue, the 3 most heralded coaches, or at least 3 of the 4 most heralded coaches in the conference, the 4th being Nate Oates, John Calipari at Kentucky, Chris Beard at Ole Miss, Rick Barnes at Tennessee.
Oh, yeah.
Those are 3 powerhouse coaches that Lamont Paris in only his second year with the Gamecocks, has beaten.
Yeah, those are 3 great scalps to hang on your belt.
Absolutely.
In one season. All right, we got some phone callers. Let's go ahead and hit a couple of calls. We're going to hit these signing classes from schools reporting signees today, and we'll get to that in a little bit as well. 888-898-2525. Gamecock Larry over in Swansea. You're up first tonight. Hello, Game. Hope he didn't fall asleep on us this time. Gamecock Larry, welcome in. How are you? Not again. No.
I'll check with him off air.
Not again. Let's go to Andy in Columbia. Andy's a little bit younger than Gamecock Larry, and he's better at handling being on hold than Gamecock Larry apparently is. Andy, welcome in. How are you?
I'm here. I can say that. Okay, first off, very happy birthday to the captain. Okay.
Is today his birthday? Kerry Rich?
Today is the captain's birthday. I've talked to him personally. I just wanted to send it out over the airs too. Very happy birthday to my man, the captain.
What's he, about 60 now?
I don't have any idea how old he is. He's younger than both you and I, Corn, so let's not try to play games there. He graduated way after you did, and way after me, and you graduated way before I did. So don't be talking ages. Okay.
I'm just going by the way he looks. I'm not going by chronology. I'm going by the way he looks. Yeah, go ahead.
CMB with that block on that 7'5" guy last night had to be one of the best defensive plays that I've seen done by a South Carolina ball player, and I can't remember how long. That was just amazing.
Yeah.
Were you there live for that, Corn, or did you not make it?
I got there with 28 seconds left in the game.
I figured that you were probably going to get there probably right at the end or just missed the end of the game. But I just wanted to send the congratulations out to the Gamecocks, send out a happy birthday to the captain, and say, wake up, Larry. It's your turn to get on, and you gentlemen have a very good evening.
All right, thank you very much.
And Phil, I want to follow up to what Andy said. I didn't get a chance to talk about the Gamecocks last night, but Colin Murray Boyles is playing out of his mind, and he's right. To go up and stop a guy who's 7 feet 5 inches tall at the rim in not just the blowout situation, which it was for the majority of that ball game. That was a critical play defensively for the Gamecocks, as Ole Miss was making a terrific run at them. That kid is going to be a superstar if he continues to develop. And where could he be now if he had not been sick earlier in the season? I mean, he's still getting back into I would think probably now he's where he wants to be. But as a freshman to contribute as much as he has and to be as dominant as he has been, especially last night, 16-9 with a terrific block shot. Actually had 2 in the ball game. I was awfully impressed with him. But that play may have been the play of the game. And perhaps, depending on what happens the remainder of the season, that's a turning point in the season, because if Ole Miss scores, they're down 1 at that point in time.
Yeah.
Maybe they come all the way back and win that ball game.
Yeah. And I'll tell you something else. You never know how things are going to work out, but the injury to Studi might have been a blessing in disguise, because it allowed them to put Zachary Davis in the lineup. And Zachary Davis does a lot of good things. He gives them additional size, but it also, now you've got Studi coming off the bench with Jacoby Wright, and those are 2 good outside shooters. Last night, Studi was 4 for 5 from 3-point land. He had 12 points, I believe. And you got offense coming off the bench with those 2 guys. And you also, of course, you're bringing the other big guy in off the bench. So their bench depth improved, I think, with that particular move. And Davis is not a big drop-off for them in the starting lineup. He does a lot of good things for them as well. So you look at what they can bring in off the bench now that Studi is coming in, and I think Josh Gray has really improved his game a lot coming in off the bench. So they really have about a 2-platoon unit they can go to the starting 5, and then they can bring at least 4 off the bench. Ugasuk, if you want to throw him in there as well, gives them another. So, yeah, they've got 4 quality coming off the bench to back up the 5 on the court. So you got to like that rotation they have developed. All right, we're going to run to the break, and we'll come back with more. Take more of your phone calls, 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number for you here on Sports Talk. A reminder, if you're looking for some property to buy at the beach or maybe a place to rent for a spring or summer vacation, just make a phone call to James Smith Real Estate at 843-237-4246. Check them out online at pauliesvacationrentals.com. Your perfect beach getaway is just a phone call or a click away. 843-237-4246.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. That's the sound of a big hit on you and your car or truck. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years, helping people who get injured in car wrecks and truck wrecks. If you have serious injuries, call Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968, or email me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. That's Corbett. I don't get paid unless I recover for you. Jim Corbett Attorney, for your best recovery from a big hit, 803-765-2968, or jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Hi, this is Major Billy Downer, and coming up tonight at 7:30, it's another edition of SC Wow from the Department of Natural Resources on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Last year was a big year for Founders Federal Credit Union and our amazing members. A total of $30 million was given back to qualifying members in the form of loyalty bonus dividends, proving once again that it pays to be a Founders member. Founders is also committed to pouring time and resources into the local communities we serve. If you aren't a member yet, what are you waiting for? Join Founders today. Visit foundersfcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required.
When trouble comes like the accidents do, we all get sick and the bills pile too. There's only one number that can help see you through. And if you're healthy, here's what you should do. Call 605-7905. That's the number that you need to know. 605-7905. $0 deductible. What's the deductible, you say? That's the price you have to pay before the insurance will say we'll help you. They keep the number out of reach because they know that you won't reach that number because they know you're healthy. 605-7905. $0 deductible. 605-7905. 727 is the area code.
All right, back we are on Sports Talk. Couple of quick notes. Tiger Woods will make his 2024 debut at the Genesis Invitational next week. CAA baseball coaches preseason ranking. College of Charleston's number 4 behind Northeastern, Wilmington, and Campbell. Sunbelt baseball coaches poll. Coastal Carolina is your preseason favorite ahead of Southern Miss, Troy, Louisiana. Furman put out a release today that football player Bryce Stanfield suffered a medical emergency while attending an early morning workout at Paladin Stadium and is in the hospital. This was announced by head coach Clay Hendricks, so certainly wishing the best there. No more to report. USC announced spring game will be April 20th, and it'll have a 7 o'clock kickoff for the spring game on April 20th. Nick Saban is joining ESPN as an analyst, mostly on College Game Day. All right, Gamecock Larry. Somebody roused him. Gamecock Larry, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
Wait a minute, somebody. You ain't put me on. I wasn't the same. I've been listening to you all the time. But boy, I tell you what, I can hear that. I can hear old Clemson. I can't believe it. How in the world they went to North?
Hello.
The game. Yes, sir. You have me?
We got you. Now, Larry, you gotta give credit where credit is due. They went up there and beat a blue blood, just like the Gamecocks went to Kentucky last year and beat a blue blood and beat them in Columbia this year. You got to give Clemson a little credit. They went up there and took it from them. Took it from them.
The referee had to give them a few points. But I tell you, I can't believe Clemson beat North Carolina. But I can, but I tell you, had me kind of worried in that Ole Miss game. But boy, that boy went up there, 8 inches on him and blocked that dunk. And boy, I couldn't sleep last night, but kept waking up, dozing off and waking up. Clemson beat North Carolina. Oh, you ought to be happy, Larry. Clemson. Oh, man, I can't be happy anytime Clemson win anything. I tell you. And I was a few days off the other day when that gentleman called again. And I don't know what he said, but you're right. It's 97 days today. 297 days they got Clemson out. But that's all I got to say. But I just wanted to tell you, I can't sleep because I can't believe.
Well, are you more disturbed that Clemson won than you are happy that the Gamecocks won? I mean, you got to have a little balance here.
Oh, well, I know. I mean, the Gamecocks. I don't know how we lost that game to Clemson, but we did. But I don't know. I just can't sleep. Think about Clemson beating North Carolina.
Okay, Larry.
Well, it's a shame. It's a shame. I got it now. I'm going to have to put up with those. 3 or 4 people called me today. Oh, you held back. We won. Yeah, but the referee gave you 7 points. That's something. Boy, I tell you what, I love to listen to 100.7.
Yes, sir.
I love to listen to them gentlemen talk about. I love you, Phil.
All right, Larry, we're going to let you go so you can get some sleep. Sounds like you're tired. Thank you very much. Gamecock Larry, got to get his thoughts together.
Let's make a little rule here on Sports Talk. Anytime Clemson wins a game the night before, Larry cannot come on Sports Talk the next day. He can't handle. He uses us to take a nap.
Yeah, well,
he's got to have a day off in between.
I think he's more upset that Clemson won than he is happy that the Gamecocks won. That's what I'm trying to. I'm trying to get his head right. I'm trying to get his head right on that.
And guys, real quick before we move on from the Gamecock, just pointing out here, looking back. So Michie Johnson. Where'd this go? Michie Johnson scored in double figures. He's still the leading scorer for the Gamecocks, but he scored in double figures in 16 of the first 17 games of the season for the Gamecocks. But now during their current 6-game winning streak, Michie's only had double figures twice. He did a fantastic job early in the season kind of carrying the team, and I can't help but wonder and would love y'all's thoughts if now it seems like he kind of had to carry the weight until other players either got their feet beneath them or their confidence up, or maybe it was a better understanding of Lamont Paris's game plan, offensively, defensively, whatever. But it seems like now the team is doing a better job of spreading the load. It's almost like a different player is the leading scorer each night based upon matchups. And again, Coach Paris is doing a fantastic job finding the weaknesses in the other team's defense. But I can't help but notice Michie Johnson is now taking more of a facilitator approach and a defensive-minded game plan, as opposed to feeling like he has to score as much as he did early in the season.
Well, this is 2 straight games, 3 with him, but including B.J. Mack. B.J. Mack did not have a big offensive game last night either. He didn't have one at Georgia. Yet they found a way to win, Chris. And, I mean, this is a true team in every aspect of the word. Again, they had, 16 assists last night on their 28 baskets. We've talked about how much they've been averaging in terms of assists per game. They share the ball. They don't mind coming off the bench. I mean, they have developed great chemistry. It's one of the reasons they're sitting there 20-3. If I had told anybody in the world that here on February 7th, South Carolina would have 20 wins 8 in the SEC, with a great chance to be looking at 21-3 and 9-2 after Saturday. What would you have said to me back then?
Well, first off, that fitted you for, a straitjacket because no one would have believed this. And I think we saw the ability Lamont Paris has early in the season. I think you need to go back to the Virginia Tech win and see how they were able to maintain and find a way to scratch that game out. Probably didn't play their best, but that was a gutsy win for them. Didn't know what that meant moving forward. I think that sort of springboarded them and showed them, we can play defense and still find ways to win the game. You talk about Michie Johnson. Phil, he had half of those assists last night.
Yeah.
He had 8 assists. To Pat's point about him being a facilitator along with Talon Cooper, 10 assists and 3 turnovers between your starting backcourt, who are the only 2 guys on the floor that played over 30 minutes for USC last night, to speak to their bench depth. And I will tell you this, to add to your point about the 20 victories, I firmly believe when we get together tomorrow, they're going to be tied for first, because I think Auburn beats Alabama tonight. So you could add that in there, too, that February the 8th, they would be in a first-place tie with Alabama and Auburn. And who would have thought that either in the SEC?
Keep in mind, too, and people will be looking at this, in case you don't understand how it works, in the SEC, and I think this is the case maybe in a number of leagues when it comes to basketball, they don't break ties if you end up in the regular season tied. Like people will say, well, how'd they do head-to-head? They don't do that. They give you championships. So they would be recognized as a champion for that year, as would the other team if they ended up tied. Now, they will break the tie for the number 1 seed.
Right.
For the tournament. And that's where they go look head-to-head and look how you did against the next team in line, whatever. They will break a tie for the seed, but not for the championship. So South Carolina, you're right. That Auburn game, if they don't stub their toes Saturday, and Vanderbilt is not a very good team, if they come out focused, play their game, they should win that game at home in front of a big crowd. Then you go down to Auburn, very good team, always well coached. People say, I've been to one game there a few years ago, not long after the Auburn Arena was open, and it's a crazy, wild place. And I think the night I was there, they beat the Gamecocks pretty good. And it'll be another crazy, wild scene a week from tonight down there. So I'm looking forward to being there. I plan to be there for that game as things stand now, so looking forward to it. So, all right, we wish you well. Go enjoy your game. Bring back a W.
Chris. We will certainly try for the Bayou, and we'll be flying back tomorrow, so I will chat with you guys on Friday.
Look forward to it. Thank you. Coming up, more hooping and hollering. We've been doing a lot of hooping and hollering on the show. Got Coach John Combs coming up with a special guest. Then we'll get to some of these signing classes by teams around the state on this National Signing Day. Coming up.
UXL Columbia W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. The U.S. drone strike has killed a high-ranking commander of an Iranian-backed militia group. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
Officials say the drone strike hit a car in the Iraqi capital of Baghdad, killing 3 members of the powerful Kataib Hezbollah militia, including a senior commander. The strike came days after the U.S. military launched an air assault on dozens of sites in Iraq and Syria used by Iranian-backed militias and the Iranian Revolutionary Guard in retaliation for a deadly attack on American troops. Greg Clugston, Washington.
The Senate bill that combined a border package with U.S. aid for Ukraine and Israel failed in the chamber today, with Republicans saying the measure didn't do enough to secure the southern border. Oklahoma Senator James Langford says this was a chance for the Senate to decide whether it would actually do something to help secure the southern border.
It's an issue that's bedeviled, quite frankly, this body for decades. It's been 3 decades since we passed anything to the law to be able to change border security.
Israel has rejected a ceasefire proposal, saying the agreement would leave Hamas in power. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken says there are clearly some non-starters in Hamas's proposal for freeing hostages.
We also see space in what came back to pursue negotiations to see if we can get to an agreement. And that's what we intend to do. And I'm not going to speak for Israel or anyone else involved, but again, we believe the space is there, and we believe that we should pursue it.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu rejected the response by the terrorist group as crazy. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 156 points, the Nasdaq rose 147, the S&P 500 advanced 40. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The words you are about to hear are taken from letters sent in by members to the Trinity Debt Management Program.
Dear Trinity, today I'm making my final credit card payment.
Before I came to you, I was in a constant state of anxiety and panic, but now there is hope for my family's financial future.
Working with Trinity made me understand that I'm not alone.
You really do help people.
Your kindness will never be forgotten. Without Trinity's support, I would not have achieved my lifelong goal of becoming debt-free.
We saved a lot on interest and penalties, of course, but the reward was the gift of human kindness.
Trinity has carried me through a very difficult time in my life. You're amazing.
I used to feel so anxious and hopeless. Now I feel grace and peace.
God bless Trinity as you continue to help others become debt-free.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976. That's 1-800-990-6976.
How's it?
Authorities say Russia has fired cruise and ballistic missiles and Shahed-type drones at targets across Ukraine, including its capital of Kyiv. International correspondent Charles de Ledesma reports from London.
Officials say the Wednesday morning attack, which targeted at least 3 major cities, including the capital Kyiv, killed some civilians and injured dozens more. The armed forces say they intercepted 44 drones and missiles out of 64 that were launched in the morning attack, while the Russian Defense Ministry says it used long-range precision weapons and drones to aim at Ukrainian factories that manufacture sea drones, coastal defense missile systems, rockets and explosives, claiming that all targets were hit. The EU's top diplomat, Josep Borrell, is in Kyiv discussing military aid and financial support for Ukraine. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Clear and chilly this evening with a low temp dipping down to 29. Tomorrow, look for a blend of sunshine and clouds, the high reaching 62. For Friday, it's more clouds than sun. 65 will be our high. And as we look to the weekend, we'll get afternoon showers on Saturday with 71 the high. Sunday, on and off rain throughout the day. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
As a kid, you dreamed of being a firefighter one day. Now, the opportunity is yours. Answer the sound of sirens. Live your dream. Become a part of a team, a family. Visit scvolunteerfire.org to find out more.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Welcome back. Very busy edition of Sports Talk. On this Wednesday night, glad you're with us. Phil Kornblut here in Columbia. Matt Smith was with us earlier after being up in Chapel Hill last night. Chris Bergen was with us earlier. He's in Louisiana for Coastal basketball. We heard from Brad Brownell. We heard from Lamont Parrish, talked all about those games and others from last night and games coming up tonight. In just a moment, turn our attention to high school basketball, which is hot as ever around the state of South Carolina as we get close to the end of regular season play and head to the postseason here in South Carolina. Then, after this hooping and hollering, whatever time we have left, we'll try to get to as many of these signees for teams around the state. Like Presbyterian signed 33 players today. So we'll try to get to as many of these as we can. But another edition of hooping and hollering here on Sports Talk. We welcome in Spring Valley Athletic Director, former high school basketball coach himself, John Combs. Good evening, Coach. How are you?
I am great. Thank you for having me. Excited. Great day for high school athletics, basketball here in South Carolina. Ready to talk some hoops.
Absolutely. I'm seeing more and more senior nights around the state indicating that regular season is about to come to an end.
It's crazy. So we just had our senior night at Spring Valley High School last night. It is crazy to think this is just a couple of days. The regular season will be over with, and we'll be starting the playoffs next week. But it's an awesome time of the year.
First day of the playoffs will be what? Historically, I see games on like Monday night, getting the thing off and running in a hurry. Is that what we're looking at?
Yeah, Monday, some will tip off Tuesday. I think even 5A boys, I don't think they tip off until Wednesday. So, yeah, the first 3 days are kind of all of next week are kind of scattered about. So, Valentine's Day could be very special and sweet for some and awfully bad for others that don't get an opportunity.
Well, that dream is out there. Everybody dreams of getting to the state championship. This year, those games will be played at the Florence Civic Center. So that is the goal. That is the dream. And you've got a special guest, a coach who's hoping to be there standing at the end. So, Coach, take it away.
Well, I'd love to welcome in our guest this week. I would also call he's a colleague for a long time, but also a friend, Coach Lane Fowler from Burns High School. Coach Fowler, how are you doing today?
I'm great, John. I hope you're doing well. And Phil, I hope you're doing great. And, yep, we're excited for playoffs. And, last regular season games are this Friday. So, we're ready. Season's going fast, but we're excited to get into the playoffs.
Now, see, doesn't Lane sound just ultra relaxed? His team just recently wrapped up a region championship, so he's not sweating anything coming here this last Friday night. Because I've typically not been in that position before. So, tell us about your team and how is that to wrap up a region championship so early, Coach?
Well, Coach, it's exciting. I've never really had that in my 25 years either. So, it's new for us as well. It's just different now with the different regions with only 8 games. Used to, we had bigger regions and we're going back to that next year. But, for us, we still want to, treat it as a game that, with Gaffney, obviously 6-1, we're playing them at their place Friday. Had a tough battle with them a couple weeks back, but knowing that you have it wrapped up, it's a nice feeling. But you also, I'm kind of old school in the thought process of you still want to be playing good basketball as you're going into the playoffs. So we're treating this like, any other region game, and we want to go in there and play well and hopefully have some momentum going into our first round action next Wednesday.
Well, Coach, I was really excited to see recently one of your players, Will Fowler, who I know you know really well, recently scored 1,000 points. So, hey, talk about that. How was that for you as a coach and you as a father to see Will accomplish something that is extremely hard to do?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it was really exciting for lots of reasons. We're more team oriented here. We haven't had a lot of 1,000-point scorers, and for Will to be able to accomplish that, it's pretty special, not only for him, but for, his teammates and our program, the community. We've had a lot of good backing over the years for our basketball program, so they were really excited for him. But I think even more so, last year, 7 games in, had kind of a freakish foot injury. He broke his 5th metatarsal. And it's a pretty extensive surgery, and then it actually happened again. So he was out for about 10.5 months. So I think that makes it even more special. But, he leads us in assists. So he did it very efficiently. He shot the ball at 52% this year, 47 from 3. But he also averages almost 4.5 assists a game. So he, I don't want to sound too much like a dad, but he's worked hard at it. I think for me, through the years of my coaching career, I love seeing all our kids do well, but there's something special about seeing kids that work really hard at their game and their craft to get better, to see them succeed as well.
Well, Coach, you're certainly you're just you're a coach when you say that, because I've seen him, know of people. Will's a fine young man that works extremely hard. I know he gets that. Although I got to ask this, who does he get the hard work from? Is it more you, or is it more Mom? And for what people don't know is Mom is Coach Missy Fowler, who is the head girls coach there at Burns High School as well. Oh. So you really got a family affair going on. So who does he take after more?
I hope he got good traits for both of us. But Missy was a heck of a player in high school, and then she had a really good career at the College of Charleston, and For me, playing 2 years at PC and then transferring playing some at College of Charleston. So I think he gets it from both. The grandparents are pretty competitive people as well, but he just grew up around ball, and people ask me all the time about like being a coach's kid and things like that. And I remember I used to really be excited when I would be around for us back in the day. Hal McManus, whose dad Harold was our coach for 20 years at Burns, but he's just been around a ton of basketball. I saw a picture of the day of our state championship team in 16, and Will's right there at 10 years old. He was with us every moment. So I think that fostered the love, and then again, just putting in the time and the effort and energy, and it's really neat. It has been special. I hadn't had a chance to reflect on it a lot, and I hope to do more of that maybe in 3 weeks if we can make a run at this thing.
Well, yeah, you certainly want 3 weeks, not 1 week. So as we get ready, no, nobody wants that. So as you get ready for the playoffs, what are some teams in your area that you're like, I think are some of the best teams in the state? Maybe some players that you could talk about.
Yeah, everybody's talking about 4A basketball this year. 4A is loaded. For me, being Upper State president for 5A basketball, obviously I keep up with it, from not just being part of the board, but being a coach. Dorman's been that team now, for so many years up in our area and probably the state as well. I think they ended up winning 5 out of 7. So it's pretty impressive from that, after we won at 16. But they're having a really good year. Gadsden's had a resurgence. Coach McClain at Malden has taken that team and won a region championship this year. When I think they were picked maybe second or third. Coach Arrington at Teal Hannah's got a really good team. Again, there's just so many teams. Blackwood's having a really good year, and for the upstate in our area, I think those are some of the premier teams. But again, I know you know this. I don't want to sound like a coach, but I've seen teams go on runs that maybe were a 3 or 4 seed, and so that obviously can happen. I named a lot of the 1 and 2s right there, but Lexington right now is the cream of the crop of the state. We know that due to just the season they're having, the players they have. Somerville in the lower state having a phenomenal year. So there's a lot of good teams that I think on a given night can make that run. We feel really good about our team. We're 21-4. We've won 17 of our last 18 games. And again, humbly, I say that because we know we have a lot of areas to improve in so many areas. So we can stay healthy, which has been key for us this year. I think we've definitely got a shot, but we got to go out there and earn it. That's for sure.
I know me and you talked many times about having a high school shot clock. What are your thoughts on that? Does South Carolina need one? I know the answer, but I want to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, I 100% think it needs one, and it's one of those things where I've obviously been pushing it now for almost 8 years, and just watching the game, I absolutely love the game of basketball. I've always been a fan of it from playing it, now coaching it 25 years, and keeping up with it, not only locally, but, regionally, nationally, and just talking to, I just had so many good conversations also with college coaches when Mike Young was at Wofford and Coach Brownell, and then when Coach Martin was at South Carolina, and now Coach Parrish, and, even Coach Staley, I had one conversation with her, and just, again, they kind of solidify or back the reasoning, and I know they're not high school coaches, but then we did a survey this year of over 200 of our girls and boys head coaches throughout the state. It was almost 80%, 82% actually, that want it. I just think, the game is growing. I think in 1985, 86, when the three-point line was being introduced, a lot of people weren't fans of that. And, here you look 39, 40, 35 years later, and it's revolutionized the game. I think we want to grow in that area. I just think at the end of the day, it makes for a much better game. I think kids want to play it more. I know there's some drawbacks to who's going to run it, to actual financial costs and things of those nature. But at the end of the day, I 100% believe it's where we are going. We're now up to, after this year, 17 states are going to have it. I really feel like with the NFHS giving us that 2-year window, we're trending in that direction. I just hope with the great basketball we have in our state and the great basketball coaches and minds, I hope that we can, follow through with that and not maybe be that 45th or 48th state that gets it.
Coaches?
Well, that's great.
Yep, I was going to jump in and say that is great
Yes,
stuff.
sir.
And, Coach, we want to wish you great luck going into the playoffs with the regular season ending on Friday. Coach Combs, thank you as always. I know you'll be out and about busy watching playoffs beginning next week, and look forward to having you back with us next week as we get into the postseason side of things in high school basketball in South Carolina. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank you, guys. And thank you, John. Thank you, Phil. Listen a lot, and appreciate everything you guys do.
Thank you, Coach. Coach Combs, thank you very much, sir. We'll talk to you next week.
That'll be great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hooping and hollering with Coach John Combs here on Sports Talk. Special guest, Coach Lane Fowler from Burns High School. And, Burns is more than football, people. You think about Burns, you think about football, but they are certainly more than that. They've had great basketball teams up there for a long, long time. They've won a lot of championships in hoops as well. So we appreciate Coach being with us tonight. And we thank Coach Combs for trying to help promote high school basketball here in South Carolina for both the boys and the girls, often overlooked because of football in our state, but the basketball here. Just look at the NBA. Just look at the NBA and the contributions to the NBA from our state in recent years. We got great high school basketball, and there's some good young players up and coming in high school basketball in the state. After the break, we're going to catch up on some of the signings around the state today. National Signing Day. Look at the football signings coming up in a moment.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, this is Lisa Hosteller-Brown. Do you know the difference between a revocable trust and an irrevocable trust? The difference could easily save you hundreds of thousands of dollars in long-term care costs. Visit lawyerlisa.com to schedule a consultation today.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
Daddy, you need a trust.
Hi, yes. I'll have the club sandwich and house salad.
You got it, sweetie. I'll throw in a pair of designer sunglasses as well.
Just lunch, thanks.
How about a week at my boss's oceanfront villa?
What?
When you join the South Carolina Education Lottery's Players Club, you get way more than you expect. More chances, more wins, and more surprises.
Today's special, a trip to low Earth orbit in a private spaceship.
Join the Players Club at seeducationlottery.com because more happens here.
Hi, this is Major Billy Downer, and coming up tonight at 7:30, it's another edition of SC Wow from the Department of Natural Resources on the Sports Talk Media Network.
George Bryan here for Tsunami Bar Sports, and some say the fun is in the winning. I say the fun is in the training. And Tsunami Robbie, what do you say?
George, we all know you get more done when you're having fun. This technology is different. It's engaging, but it's also a lot of fun to use.
Hi, this is Phil Kornblut. Be sure to click on the digital ad on SportsTalkSC.com and get 5% off any Tsunami Bar order using promo code BBB5. Don't wait, order today. We're with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources. Major Downer, let's say I'm out in the woods or I'm on the water and I need to reach a DNR agent. How do I do that?
Operation Game Thief, Phil. It's been around 30 plus years. You can call us at our 24-hour hotline any time of day, 1-800-922-5431. To report wildlife violations or to get help if you're in trouble in the woods or on the water, call us at Operation Game Thief, 1-800-922-5431.
All right, recruiting brought to you by Seawell's Daily Luncheon Buffet. Big Thursday coming up tomorrow at Seawell's and a roast beef Friday on Friday. So if you're looking for a place to dine, the finest dining experience at lunch you can have, that's Seawell's, 11 to 2. Seawell's across from the State Fairgrounds on Rosewood Drive. It's only $14 for a terrific buffet. You need the best in catering. You just simply give Seawells a call at 803-771-7385 or online at seawellscateringsc.com. So it is National Signing Day. You might not feel it, you might not smell it, you might not sense it, but it is. It's the February signing day. Let's give you as many of these signees as we can, as reported by their schools, beginning with Charleston Southern. Wide receiver Jamil Bishop out of, he's a transfer from Frostburg State. Receiver Nate Branch played at Lower Richland and Palmetto Prep. Punter Gilbert Brown from Albany State transfer. Running back Dakota Fisher from Fort White, Florida. Quarterback Rob McCoy from Sacred Heart transfer. Linebacker Angel Miles from Dade City, Florida. Quarterback Brandon Mush from Huntsville, Alabama. Wide receiver Chris Roan, who's a transfer from Coastal Carolina. Wofford. Tight end Tyler Cross, Orlando, Florida. Offensive lineman Luke Moyes, Miami. Defensive lineman Caleb Oliver, Deltona, Florida. Receiver Isaiah Scott, Miami. Defensive lineman Marion Smokes, DeLand, Florida. Linebacker Elijah Washington, Kennesaw, Georgia. This goes along with players they signed earlier. Keep in mind, some of these schools, if not all, signed players in December as well. Coastal Carolina, long snapper Blake Arnault, transfer from Newberry. Defensive lineman Najon Barber, transfer from South Carolina State. Bandit Ibrahim Diarwa from Shippensburg State, transfer. Offensive lineman Heston Edwards from Texas Permian Basin, transfer. That's a new one on me. University of Texas Permian Basin. Defensive lineman Cohen Fuller, transfer, El Camino Junior College out in California. Linebacker Caden Glass, San Antonio, Texas. Defensive lineman Sawyer Gorham Welch, Longview, Texas. Tight end Paul Hartman, Springfield, Illinois. Defensive lineman Keenan Hatcher, Greensboro, North Carolina. Defensive back Joseph Johnson, Huntersville, North Carolina. Receiver Andre Jones from Eastern New Mexico. Quarterback Noah Kim from Michigan State, transfers those two. Receiver Seneca McKee, a Columbia native, transfer from UNLV. Running back Demario Rutger, Lakeland, Florida. Defensive back DeAndre Shepard, McKinney, Texas. Defensive lineman Trayvon Swanigan, transfer from Snow Junior College in Utah. Running back Christian Washington, transfer from New Mexico. And defensive back A.J. Williams out of Bamberg Earhart, a transfer from Wake Forest. The Citadel. Quarterback Jonathan Bennett from Somerville, a transfer from Liberty. Cornerback Berlin Campfort from Miami. Cornerback Pierre Fertile from Pahokee, Florida. Running back Janoris Wilcher from Pahokee, Florida. Linebacker Daniel Turpin, Decatur, Georgia. Defensive lineman DJ Bryant, Chadburn, North Carolina. Running back Sebastian Boyle from Scotts Bluff, Nebraska. Cornerback Rylan Mitchell from Somerville. Bandit Josh Warren, Riverview, Florida. Offensive lineman Landon Stradcutter, Goose Creek. Linebacker Austin Hadlock, Tarpon Springs, Florida. Linebacker Ashton Phillips, St. Louis. Wide receiver Grant Morton from Knoxville. Offensive lineman Andrew Tumbleston, Cane Bay. Linebacker Jamison Bell from Wando. Herman. Defensive tackle Demetrius Baldwin, Waycross, Georgia. Cornerback Darren Coleman, Lawrenceville, Georgia. Cornerback, Javaris Jones, Rocky Mount, North Carolina. Bandit, Trevor Short, San Antonio, Texas. South Carolina State. Defensive back, Tyler Jones, Dutch Fork. Receiver, Zy Alford, Gray Collegiate. Quarterback, Tyron Moore, DeLand, Florida. Receiver, Ja Mayrant from Camden. Defensive lineman, Kayvon Chisholm from Hampton County. Tight end, Evan Phillips, Midland Valley. Defensive back, Demario Bookhart from Spartanburg High School. Transfers. Defensive back, Diego Addison, Benedict. Running back, Kazarius Adams from Georgia State. Defensive lineman, Joshua Barker from Benedict. Defensive lineman, Jaden Broughton from Benedict. Running back, DeAndre Duhart from Benedict. Wide receiver, Caden High from Benedict. Offensive lineman, Joseph Johnson from Benedict. Defensive back, Logan Jones from Lehigh. Quarterback, Mason Kidd from Northern Illinois. Defensive back, Dathan Peterson from Benedict. Offensive lineman, Roger Smith from Benedict. Wide receiver, Nicholas Sewell from Benedict. Defensive back, Gerard Washington from, you got it, Benedict.
Picking up a theme here, Phil.
Presbyterian. Tight end, Grant Beaton, West Florence. Wide receiver, Tucker Boland, Batesburg, Leesville. Offensive lineman, Mike Brennan from Weston, Florida. Offensive lineman, Stephen Brooks from Waynesville, North Carolina. Offensive lineman, Ellington Brooks Lytle from Decatur, Georgia. Wide receiver, Cortland Brunson from Trinity Collegiate. Wide receiver, Matthew Covington from Christ Church. Defensive lineman, Dallas Coy from Orlando. Linebacker, Ashton Drayton from Goose Creek. Wide receiver, Keenan Dubose from Darlington. Offensive lineman, Caleb Ferschke from Stewart, Florida. Defensive end, Johnny Fudge III, Orlando. Defensive back, Debo Hall from York. Offensive lineman, Paul Harrington from Roswell, Georgia. Defensive back, Tariq Hollinger from Orlando. Quarterback, Matt Holtzclaw, Brentwood, Tennessee. Offensive lineman, Charlie Hubbard, Marietta, Georgia. Kicker, Thatcher Hutton from Bristol, Tennessee. Defensive back, Ryan Largent, St. James. Defensive back, Caleb Makowski from Coral Springs, Florida. Defensive back, Colin Maxwell, Jacksonville, Florida. Defensive lineman, Walter McGill, Claremont, North Carolina. Defensive back, Damian Moat from Tifton, Georgia. Defensive end, J.J. Moore, Orange Park, Florida. Receiver, Will Patton from Easley. Offensive lineman, Slayton Stokes from Hartsville. Defensive lineman, Bryce Stringer from Miramar, Florida. Receiver, Ryder Varus from Merritt Island, Florida. Tight end, Chris Vickerson, Columbus, Georgia. Linebacker, Charles Walden from Lithia Springs, Georgia. Defensive back, Jason Wiggins from Claremont, Florida. And there's two more.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Clear and chilly this evening with a low temp dipping down to 29. Tomorrow, look for a blend of sunshine and clouds, the high reaching 62. For Friday, it's more clouds than sun. 65 will be our high. And as we look to the weekend, we'll get afternoon showers on Saturday with 71 the high. Sunday, on and off rain throughout the day. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Hey, honey, I know you're taking some meds for cholesterol. I was reading that if you're on these medicines, you should also be taking some CoQ10.
Actually, our pharmacist mentioned that to me already. He called me the other day, and we went through each of our medications together.
Really? He called you?
Yeah, he asked if I was having any side effects, recommended supplements that could help me, and let me know the risk of mixing certain drugs.
Wow. I'm happy to know that True Pharmacy is thinking about us.
True Pharmacy, 1628 Charleston Highway, 3217 Divine Street, or visit truerxsc.com.
Leaders reporting Attorney General Merrick Garland says the Justice Department Special Counsel in Classified Documents has completed his inquiry and a report is expected to be made public soon. Garland did not detail the conclusions of the report from Special Counsel Robert Hur, but did say he was committed to disclosing as much of it as possible once the White House completes a review of the document for potential executive privilege concerns. Even without Donald Trump on Nevada's Republican ballot, Nikki Haley was still denied her first victory. The indignity of a distant second-place finish behind none of these candidates was a blow for Haley, facilitated by staunch Trump allies who lead Nevada's GOP. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 156 points. The Nasdaq rose 147. This is SRN News.
I've learned a lot in my years doing this, but I've never had my eyes opened wider than when I met the folks from Broker Solar and went to see their job sites. Everything I thought about solar power, well, I was wrong about. Now I'm on board 100% as long as it's done right. Don't let the media, don't let the politicians guilt you about solar power. You want solar because it actually will save you money and give you some power literally and figuratively at the same time. It's amazing technology. What a great way to get rid of your monthly power bill. No more power outages. Instead of having to buy a generator, you just rely on solar batteries from Broker Solar. Listen, I'm sick of having politicians tell me about green this, green that, but solar technology has advanced so much. So if you want to learn more, why don't you call the folks over at Broker Solar? This isn't some national thing. They are local. They're located right in Lexington. In fact, I've known the owner's family for many, many years. They are great. Online, it's brokersolar.com or call them 807-7417. That's 807-7417 for Broker Solar.
Step into a world of comfortable living with Lexington Discount Homes. For over 3 decades, we've dedicated ourselves to helping families find their dream home. Our steadfast commitment to customer service and our broad range of homes ensure a fit for every taste and budget. Experience the stunning detail of a Lexington home in person at 1847 Augusta Highway. Too busy? Visit LexingtonDiscountHomes.com for a virtual tour. For homes that spell absolute comfort, you know where to find us. Lexington Discount Homes.
Thinking about investing in a hot tub? Great idea. Hot tubs offer relaxing hydrotherapy for tired muscles and stressed minds. But beware, all spas are not the same. At Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio, we offer hot spring and free flow spas exclusively for the quality, energy efficiency, and affordability. And we have everything to keep your spa and pool sparkling, clean, and crystal clear. Come see it all at Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio, Forest Drive and JackOliverPools.com.
Hey y'all, this is Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. This Valentine's Day, we're offering a great special. We're going to have prime rib dinner for 2, which has 2 slow roasted 10-ounce prime rib steaks cooked to order, served with 2 sides, 2 cookies, and 2 soft drinks for only $54.95 per couple. And while you're here, check out our new arcade with over 35 games you can play. So please come and enjoy a great Valentine's dinner at Flight Deck Restaurant. We're located in Lexington. Thanks y'all, and God bless.
Hi, I'm Alicia Kaufman Quinton. My daddy, Billy Kaufman, opened Kaufman's Meat Plant at our present location in 1955. My family still works hard every day to ensure fresh quality cuts of beef, pork, and poultry. How about a tasty T-bone, ribeye, or New York strip steak? But to order at Kaufman's Meat Place. Just look for the signs near the intersection of US 1 and I-20 in Lexington. Call us at 356-0076 to place your order. Kaufman's Meat Place, when you want the very best your money can buy.
Now on Sports Talk, it's SC Wild with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources. Major Downer is here to take your questions about the great outdoors in South Carolina. Give him a call at 888-898-2525. It's SC Wild from DNR on the Sports Talk Radio Network.
And with Major Downer's blessings, I can give you the last 2 names that Presbyterian signed. I was trying to get through it. They had 33 signees. I was whipping through the list. The last 2, E.J. Yeoman Jr. from Miami, a defensive back, and defensive back Chapel Young from Alpharetta, Georgia. All right, there you go. Wrapping up the signings that we have today as we welcome in Major Billy Downer to Sports Talk in just a moment. Another edition of SC Wild for you. Of course, Major Downer being a Citadel man, he'll be very happy to know that the Citadel did a very nice job, it looks like, with their recruiting. And they have to be excited about Jonathan Bennett from Somerville coming back home and transferring from Liberty, giving them a veteran quarterback who might be able to come in and improve their play there quite a bit from what they've had. That seems to be an area they've got to pick up quite a bit. And the Bulldogs signed players really from all over the country as we went through their list just a little while ago, as far west here, I think, as there's one in Nebraska and one in St. Louis. So as we welcome Major Downer, a man of the Citadel, it just seems like people all over the country want to matriculate to the Citadel along the banks of the Wando River. No, it's not the Wando, the Ashley. I'm sorry. The banks of the Ashley.
That would be the Ashley. That's correct.
Yeah. Got my rivers wrong. During your days at the Citadel, how many times did you go out into the Ashley River there, like on a boat or something?
Actually, a bunch of times with classmates that we had, the boat club there, and we had little whalers we could go out in the water and enjoy water sports, skiing. Back then, it was just kneeboarding. We didn't have a whole lot of fancy stuff, but skiing and kneeboarding, and it was we had fun doing that. So didn't do it a whole lot, but we did do it a good bit. I mean, I did do it enough to say I went on to Ashley some.
Well, I mean, you're at a school where on one side you got a big old wall, and on the other side you got a river. So you're kind of like stuck in the middle there.
Yeah, in prison, as we say.
Well,
yeah.
I didn't want to go that far.
And then don't forget all the times it floods down there too. And then the Citadel Beach House as well. I'm sure Major had a few good times there too.
To be honest with you, Major, the only other place in South Carolina I can remember that had a wall on one side and a river on the other was CCI. So I don't know if you want to compare the two.
Let me make a comment about the beach house. These things I got to see that. I did not get to enjoy the beach house because Hugo wiped it out.
Oh.
I got to enjoy it for maybe 3 or 4 hours the day that the upperclassmen came back. And they would take us out there, and we got a little break while the upperclassmen moved in. Then you move back in, and there's 1,000 people you don't know asking you their name, and you have no idea who they are. But yeah, I got to enjoy the beach house for about 3 hours. And then after that, it was gone for the rest of my career.
Well, we did. They rebuilt it. They rebuilt it over there out across from Wild Dunes, right? Out in Olive Palms.
Right.
They rebuilt it, and we did a lot of shows there back when they would have this this event. They would have this golf event for the Brigadier Club. I think it's called the Brigadier Club, and they would have this golf event.
Yep.
And we for like 20 years we played in that thing, and then we would go do the show from the beach house. And I got to tell you, one of my favorite shows of the year, because we would sit on the back porch, which of course faces the ocean. We sit on the back porch. We'd have guests back there on the Isle of Palms and watch the boats, watch the big freighters and the tankers and everything going into Charleston Harbor go by. It's an incredible view back there. Incredible view.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Kind of like the view in Las Vegas. How was that?
Yeah, that was it was a fun trip. I mean, people go to Vegas for a lot of different things that I went for, but I did not enjoy any of those extracurricular activities at all.
Yeah.
I did try. I will say this. I admit I sat at a craps table and I threw some dice.
Ooh.
And I can tell you, Vegas won.
Yeah.
I didn't win. So. I lost a total of $43. That's my claim.
What did you say?
I learned real quick. It's not about. I thought it was the guy that throws the dice. Nah, not so much. 4 rolls and I rolled a 7, so I was out. It took me a while to learn that game, and a friend of mine loves to go out there and loves that game. It's fascinating, but no, not for me.
Well, did you set like a personal limit of like $20, but then you kept losing, and you got to 40, and you said, I'm really out of here now.
Well, first of all, the whole story, I was at a $15 table. That's in the morning. On the way to the shot show, I stopped. And a $15 table. So I said, I'll put $30 down. I'll try twice.
Uh-huh.
Well, as soon as I put my money down, they gave the dice to the guy next to me. And I didn't even get to roll. So I'm like, well, dang it, I'm at least going to bet one time on myself. So I did. I lost both of that. And then one of the other guys there, he was much better at it, and I actually won like $14 back with him. But
amazing.
I was down 43 when I quit. So anyway, yeah,
it's people like
there's
you.
a reason why Vegas is still there.
It's people like you and me that make sure that Vegas has the lights on 24 hours a day.
That is absolutely correct.
Yeah,
absolutely correct.
Now, why were you out there?
Yeah, we were there. We were there for the 2024 SHOT Show, SHOT SHOT Show. It's kind of the colloquial name for the National Shooting Sports Foundation. Puts this on every year, and basically it is everything firearms, hunting, outdoor related. It is everything, mostly around firearms. As far as all of your big companies are putting out their newest and their best product. That's when they bring them out. Ammunition manufacturers are also there with ammunition. Just talking about different ammunition. Of course, in the last probably, I guess, 20 years, the AR platform is the big deal. 20 years ago, a couple pump companies were out there pumping out rail systems for these, basically handle areas for these guns. And then now you've got all these companies making AR platforms because they're so popular for target shooting. And even in the sporting community, there's an interest to that now as well, particularly night hunting hogs and things. But and there's so many varieties in the caliber. 223 was the common caliber, a 5.56 or 223, same thing. 5.56 millimeter 223, the military round, basically. Not, of course, armor piercing, but regular, a lead, copper coated lead round. But now they make them in an AR-10 platform, which is like a 30 caliber platform. They make them in 308. They make them in 6.5, different platforms across the board. So they make them in several sporting platforms that can be used for hunting deer as well or other game. But anyway, it's more than just firearms. It's a lot about firearms there. It's a lot about ammunition. The industry there, Glock is there. Your big names, any big name you think of, Winchester, Browning, Remington's almost dead. You hardly ever see Remington anymore. But Browning, Leupold scopes, Zeiss, Swarovski, all these big names, they're all there. All the companies that make the things that we love to go outdoors and hunt, shoot, target shoot, hunting, whatever. All those companies are there. Mossy Oak's there, Real Tree's there with all their new camo patterns and different things they're coming out with. Clothing manufacturers are there for sporting clothing, law enforcement clothing, a variety, military clothing as well. Everybody's walking around looking at big guns and big, fun bullets and different things. But why were we there is really a question I want to answer. Why was I there? I wasn't there to gawk around at a bunch of 50 caliber guns. That wasn't what we were there for. But so my training staff and I went out there, a small group, and we wanted to go talk to the companies in our wildlife section. One of my friends in the wildlife section was there with us also. We were there to thank companies from South Carolina for what they do for us. And again, to talk for a moment real quick about what that means is all these firearms and ammunition companies that are in South Carolina. Palmetto State Armory, FN Herstal, FN, right here in Columbia, huge manufacturer of AR platforms for the military. They also do privately owned ARs as well, but huge military manufacturer. And you got Palmetto State Armory, everybody's heard of, and how they hit the market so hard, particularly in online sales and things. These two companies really, they have to pay excise taxes to the federal government. Those taxes go directly into what's called what used to be called the Pittman-Robertson Act, or the Wildlife Restoration Act. Again, back from the 40s to today, it provides federal funds to the wildlife conservation efforts to provide for our WMAs, areas where we can for public hunting opportunity, hunting education courses that we provide, as well as free hunter education courses in person. It also provides for our shooting ranges in the state that we build that are cost absolutely zero to go shoot at unless you're shooting targets for shotguns. So we ask you to pay a minimal fee, for targets. But as far as it is a huge funding source for our wildlife section, for our waterfowl impoundments, for our hunting programs, across the state, all of our WMA lands, a huge part of that, into the millions of dollars each year provided through Pittman-Robertson Wildlife Restoration Funds to our department specifically for those things: wildlife restoration, public hunting opportunity, hunter education, and public shooting opportunity as well. So it's a huge thing, and we have a lot of companies in the state that I like to say you've heard of, but then smaller companies you may not even have heard of, or some of the newer companies out in Niagara is out there making waterfowl shells, and probably some people are starting to hear about them, but they were out of Charleston, relatively new, right here in South Carolina. A lot of companies that make parts for rifles, AR platforms, They make what everybody talks about silencers today. That's a big deal in the movies. Everybody wants to see a gun go off and hear use real slight noise and all that, which is not real for the most part. Most guns are going to have a clap sound at least, but greatly reduces the recoil and the noise, of course. So everybody's heard of a silencer, so to speak, or what was known as a can. But several of those companies in our state that make those, and they pay excise tax as well. So just going and visiting those companies, thanking them for what they do. For us, again, everybody's going to pay the taxes. Yeah, that's true. But it's nice once in a while to put your hand in their hand and say, thank you. I know you have to pay these taxes. We want to let you know how much we appreciate what you give to that because of what it allows us to do for the public here in South Carolina. So that was a part of what we were there for. Of course, we were there also to talk to Glock, to talk to Safari Land, and the providers of some of our major ammunition, firearms, law enforcement type wear, looking at new ballistic vests and things, the state of the art, where they're changing ballistic vests now, and they're able to take that old Kevlar that we've all worn, it's heavy, and they're now compacting it and making it thinner, lighter, more user-friendly, so that officers are encouraged to wear it, and which is an officer safety thing there, because if you want to wear it, then you're going to want, if it's lighter, you're going to want to wear it. And that's a big deal because a lot of people, it's just heavy, hot. And the type work that we do a lot of times, we have not always worn vests, except at night maybe. So we're trying to encourage more vest wear and look at that in the future, particularly in the realm of things that our officers are getting involved in, working details across the state alongside SLED, probation, parole, pardon, working for sheriff's offices, answering calls. The things that our officers traditionally didn't do 20 years ago when I started, 25, 26 years ago, but now we do as a regular basis. We're called in to assist local agencies with SLED, highway patrol, and we're sometimes even writing and answering calls in a county, as odd as that may sound for a game warden, but that's what we do. So trying to prepare officers for that, looking at ballistic vests and things to keep them safe. But again, the SHOT Show is that coming out party for the year of all the greatest, the newest, the coolest gear, and that's what it's there for. So we were there to do that. Had a lot of fun. I mean, it is literally thousands upon thousands of square feet of vendors. And we were there for 3 days, and I didn't see all of it. And I walked the floor most of the time. And you still couldn't see everything. I visited PSA a good bit. I went and looked. We went to Smith & Wesson. We went to all the big names you've heard of. But it's so spread out across Vegas in that convention center, which, like I said, is I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of square feet it is. But it's huge, in different levels and visiting people. But it's a really cool show. If you like the outdoors, firearms, ammunition, if you're into that, the SHOT Show is kind of your cool place to be. It is so busy, so many people there. But again, it's the industry's place where mostly big deals are being made a lot of times. So it's not like for just the regular public, just go out there and go look at things. Although there are people there that are members of NSSF or just a regular member of the National Shooting Sports Foundation that walk around. But a lot of it is mostly vendors and people that are buying. They're looking to buy lots of firearms or ammunition for the next year to sell in their stores. So it's a big show in that regard. And you also see a big complement of law enforcement agencies there, again, talking to the different vendors about what's the latest and greatest for next year to add to their repertoire, so to speak.
Let me ask you that
question. A lot of big agencies.
That brings up a question in my mind. This is SC Wild from DNR with Major Billy Downer. Speaking of law enforcement agencies, where do they get their ammunition? Do they have a private private companies they deal with, or do they deal with companies out in the public that you and I could go and purchase things from?
Absolutely, that's a good question. So local agencies do what local agencies are. They don't have necessarily state contracts. When you work for the state, we have what they call statewide contracts that get a pricing for buying items in bulk. So we buy basically from a wholesaler and get ammunition and things at a bulk discount based on a state rate and a contract that goes out every so many years. You put that out on contract and you put the specifications of what you're looking for, and those items get put on that contract, firearms, that kind of thing as well. And one of the things I will mention, I'll brag about one of our guys here at DNR. One of my first sergeants in our training section really put together a really cool package in the last 3 years. It's been going now for about 3 years, but he put together the new model Glock with aim point and Safari Land, and worked with those three companies from literally Glock, which is a German company, aim point here, and then Safari Land which is the holster, and put a brand new package together that had never been done. Our DNR officers were the first to get that new Glock with an aim point sight, which is the red dot sight, and a holster that would accommodate all of that. Now, red dot sights are a whole new thing in law enforcement, and people might ask, why are you doing that? Why you need to do that? Well, today's young people that we are grabbing, they are kids that have played Call of Duty or whatever else you want to call them, a computer, and they're used to red dot sights. And training is so much easier now with a young person with a red dot sight, believe it or not. Transition time's a lot faster. And it changes the shooting world. It's changed the shooting world for us. And now we were one of the first agencies in the country to do this. And now we're leading the way. Other agencies across the country are doing the same thing. So Glock was really proud about that. Aim Point as well. Safari Land, they were all proud of putting that package together because it's really cool. And now it's where every agency in the country is going. Again, it's just about training and officer safety. Again, being able to pick up that sight quickly. If you're in trouble, picking that sight up on the target is target acquisition, as they say, is very important with officer safety. And that red dot really helps you if it's in low light or in daylight, doesn't matter. But again, training wise, going to a 9mm from a 40 caliber, recoil wise, you're going to see improvement in scores because the round of the 9mm does not have the recoil that your 40 cal does. They've made so much improvements in 9mm now. The 9mm has really good hit as far as its impact is really good. But when you put that together with the aim point, with that red dot sight, target acquisition comes up, accuracy goes up, and people that we saw that were struggling shooting every year, their scores changed dramatically. And so our passing rates and ability to get officers trained every year, it goes up, and it's been a really good thing. So really neat. But again, SHOT Show is really cool. A lot of cool things there. I got to see a lot of really talk to some of the big manufacturers again, talk to our local folks around that do stuff for us here in South Carolina, and thank them as well. It was a good 3-day trip as far as on the floor. Even got to go see Hoover Dam, which is another really cool thing. Took a side trip there to see Hoover Dam. It's just amazing to see what man could do, 90 years ago. 31 to 34, they built that huge dam. But anyway, again, it was a great trip. I was very blessed to be able to go. Made a lot of good contacts there. And again, it's one of those once in a lifetime for folks. If you've never been to the SHOT Show, it's worth going. Again, don't expect to leave Vegas as a winner because everybody does it. Otherwise, it wouldn't be there.
It'd be closed. And you got out of town ahead of the Super Bowl blitz. One more question for you. We got about 2.5 minutes. Why is the state of South Carolina such a hot spot for ammunition's development? Companies that make ammunition. Why are we such a hot spot for that?
That's a great question. I don't know that I have all the right answers. I wish I had a really cool answer to tell you.
Yeah.
We're very blessed as a state to have FN here in Columbia, which is a very fine company and makes a very nice AR platform. Military, they make a lot for the military there. PSA, just literally grew out of some veterans that grew out of a back of a garage. And now they're one of the largest sellers of firearms, particularly on the internet, in the country. But they have ammunition. They've developed an ammunition plant here in Columbia. So they're adding to the economy that way as far as providing jobs. They are determined they're even going to have their own primer facility, which was really cool. I think we talked about that a couple months ago when I visited that facility. But, there's only like 5 primer facilities in the country. And 2 or 3 years ago, when ammunition prices went through the roof, it was because of the lack of primers. Because every piece of ammunition has to have a primer to start that ignition. You're firing ignition primer, the primer pops, ignites the ammunition, and then it goes. But the primer factories had shut down somewhat, and it artificially raised the price of ammunition. Crazy. So they were determined to create their own primer facility in Lexington County, and they're doing that, which is going to be really cool to help prevent that in the future. And again, they'll provide primers for their own ammunition. And that's Palmetto State Army doing that here in South Carolina. So really cool. Again, why Migra's in Charleston, why those things end up here, it's interesting to me. I don't know, but we're very lucky to have some really cool companies here in this state.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
I was thinking maybe having Fort Jackson here might have something to do with it too, right?
Sure, it might. Certainly a military presence here. We have an Air Force Base, the Army base there. We've got Fort Jackson training facility. You've got all the McIntyre Air National Guard base. So again, a good military presence in this state. We're a very patriotic state, so it's a great place to be. Nothing's better than living in South Carolina. Probably for all of us that live here, we say that. So again, you've got the mountains, you've got the coastline, you've got a lot of opportunity in Charleston for shipping. So that probably has a lot to do with it as well. So a lot of cool things going for us. But again, it was very nice to see all the good, cool stuff out there. But again, just a reminder that, when you go hunting in South Carolina and you go on any of our public lands, or you go to one of our public ranges, the money you spend on firearms and ammunition, that goes back to help provide for you. The companies that make that ammunition, the companies that make those firearms, they pay taxes that go toward our federal Pittman Robertson or wildlife restoration dollars. They give us those dollars to provide the areas for you to hunt, provide the areas for us to go shoot. And it's a good reminder for us to know that it's great to have these companies that are willing to pay that excise tax. And that system that was set up, in the 40s is still working today to provide us with a public areas to hunt, hunter education classes, public shooting opportunity. Those are big three things for us as sportsmen. So we're very proud of that. Again, we thank those companies in this state that provide that excise tax for us as well.
Major Downer, great stuff. Look forward to talking to you in a couple of weeks, and happy Valentine's Day a week in advance.
Thank you so much.
Talk to you in a couple of weeks. Major Billy Downer from DNR with us here on Sports Talk. That's going to do it. We appreciate you being with us tonight. Hope you've had a great day. You'll have a great night, and you'll be back with us tomorrow here on Sports Talk. Thank you, Pat, and see you tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.